Hey, yeah, let's cover guided notes for circles. Are you prepared? So in module one, as well as module two, I believe, even in this one, we have covered how to complete the square. So before we even start the lecture, I just need to make sure you're comfortable with understanding how to do the completing of the square. So to complete the square, you have to take the b term, because remember this is in ax squared plus bx format. You take your b, divide it by 2, and square it. And this is every time we're completing the square. This is not a special for this case only. It's every time. This is your formula if you want to think of it that way. So to complete our square here, we have to take 10, divide it by 2, and then square it. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So we would add, because it's positive, 25 to both sides of our equation, okay? And that's just the only part of that I needed you to understand. Then there's the other part that we'll talk about later when you have to come back down to create your standard form, and we'll discuss that here in a little bit. So solving the equation x minus 2 squared is equal to 9. This is the other thing you need to make sure you're comfortable with as well. To get rid of the square root, please do not multiply these out. Just don't do that. Instead, let's just write this out. X minus 2 squared is equal to 9. We take the square root of both sides, but remember on this side, we have to put plus or minus in front of the 9, the square root. So it becomes x minus 2, because the square root and the square cancel each other out, equals plus or minus the square root of 9 is 3. Okay. So now we have to go, all right, well, I need to solve for x. So I would add 2 to both sides. So x is equal to 2 plus or minus 3, but we need to calculate what that is. 2 plus 3, so x is equal to 2 plus 3, and x is equal to 2 minus 3. X is equal to 5, and x is equal to negative 1. Those are my zeros or x values for that. If you wanted to go the other direction, you could. So say you did multiply these out. It's okay. X minus 2 times x minus 2, which is x minus 2 squared, is equal to 9. I would need to just FOIL this out. So x squared minus 4x plus 4 is equal to 9. Subtract 9 from both sides, so that's equal to 0. X squared minus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. Factor these into 2 parentheses, x and x, 5 and 1, negative and positive. Set each of these equal to 0. X minus 5 equal to 0, and x plus 1 equal to 0. And then just solve for x. X equals 5, x equals negative 1. Notice we got the same stinking answer. There's always at least 2 ways to do something in math, okay? Or to at least think through it. So let's go to the next part. The definition of a circle. A circle is just a set of points. So we're looking at our circle line, and these are just a bunch of points shoved together on an XY plane, which is our Cartesian coordinate system, that are a fixed distance R. So we've got a distance from a fixed point HK, and that HK is the center of the circle. Remember, HK was also our vertex for our parabola. This is not, we're not going to use the negative b plus 2. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is different ways to solve. But from the center of the circle to any point on this circle, it's called the radius. The R is the radius. And that other point on that circle is XY. Okay, that's what we're just going to call those. Here's what you got to know. You need to know that x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Please put that in your notes so that you have that. Okay, standard form for an equation of a circle of radius r with a center at the origin 0, 0 is x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. And that's just putting 0 with h, 0 with k. It becomes 8x squared, it becomes y squared. And that's where they get the standard form for a circle. But that's only with the origin being at the center. Not a lot of good we can do with that unless the origin's at the center. So definition, if the radius r is 1, the center whose center is at, I'm sorry, who the circle whose center is at the origin is called the unit circle. We'll be talking about that next module. It has the equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. And I just gave you a reference of it here with the points that are involved, and you'll end up having to have these memorized. The unit circle is symmetric with respect to the x-axis, the y-axis, and the origin. Okay, so it is symmetric to all three. Write the standard form of equation of a circle with a radius of 5 and the center at -3, 6. And remember, this is our h and k, our center. So that's just x minus h squared. I'm just coming up here and using this, plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. I'm just going to substitute the -3 for my h squared, and then y minus the k, which is 6 squared, is equal to 5 squared. Just going to clean this up a little bit. X plus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 25. I am done. With this, I can find how to graph that. So this is called the standard form of the equation of the circle. The other thing it can be called, so this is standard form. Standard form. Other thing I call it is, well, no, I don't call it vertex form. It can be called center form. Standard form is probably the best one to use for this. Let me know what questions y'all have. Thanks, pages. Fabulous. All right. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing real quick about this. Please do not leave it in this form. Do not leave in this form. You'll lose points on your test. I would take a point off for not adding these. That's just something math. You can math it. Just math it. If you can math it, math it. And do not leave it like this. Please square it. Okay. You've got to do the math, not just the application of understanding it. All right. So your turn. I want you to pause the video, write the standard form of the equation of a circle in this, and then come back and see how I did it. So please pause your video, do it, attempt it as best you can, and then come back and see how you did. All right, let's find the center and radius of each circle. Let's do that first. The center is at -2, 1. The radius is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. So 1, 2, 3 is 4. All right. The center is also HK. Please keep that in mind as well. So when we go to write this in standard form, we're going to use x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So x minus -2 squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to 4 squared. That becomes x plus 2. We're going to square it. Y minus 1 squared is equal to 16. Oh yeah, I am done. All right. Remember, again, do not leave it in that form. Just don't. It's going to make the hair on my head stand up. All right. Graph the equation. Y plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 16. Well, you've got to remember that this is an x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared format. So to find our center, it is HK. In this case, it's going to have to be a -3. Okay, so -3 and 2, because the negative's already there. This one, the negative was not there, so this had to become -3, so that I can see that it's negative. And then for 16, I can just take r squared equal to 16 and solve for r. Square root of both sides, r is equal to 4. Okay. You do not have to worry about the plus or minus in this. I'm just showing you how to get the r for that. Just take the square root. So r is equal to 4. Come over here and draw my center, -3 and 2, right about there. Okay, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right about there. Right about there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and see if we can do this. See if I can do this. Y'all know how I am. That's good. That's how it's gonna get. All right, my center is at -3, 2, and my radius is 4. Okay. Your turn. So take this, pause the video, and do this one yourself. Make sure that you can get the center, the radius, and then graph it. And then come back and see how I did it. All right, pause your video. All right, for this one, what I did in class is I went ahead and divided by 2. But what if you didn't think that way? You're going to need to start thinking that way, because if you can see stuff that has it in common, you don't want to take the square root of 8. That's going to be nasty. We have a much cleaner way to do this. The first thing is to make sure that your x's are going to have just x in front of it and not a 2. So I'm going to take this and divide the whole thing by 2. 2 divided by 2 is going to, this one's going to be gone, this one's going to be gone, and this is going to become 4. So now I'm starting with x minus 3 squared plus y squared is equal to 4. That's much lovelier. I can find my center is just HK. So it's going to be 3. This one doesn't have a K, so it's 0. And my radius is the square root of 4, which is 2. All right, drawing your picture. The center is 3, 0, and we're got a radius of 2. So here, 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 and there. A little easier to draw the smaller ones. Radius is 3, 0, and I'm sorry, the center is 3, 0, and the radius is 2. All right, the next one I asked for y'all to do first because we've done so many intercepts. So I asked you to find the intercepts of this circle. We need more space. Well, not necessarily. All right. So for you to find the intercepts for this, pause the video. I want you to find your intercepts. Remember to find your x-intercepts. So for x-intercepts, what do you have to do? You let y equal 0, solve for x. To find your y-intercepts, you let x equal 0 and solve for y. If you've not paused the video, please do so now and do this, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these 2's like I did in the last one. So I'm going to use this equation for my cleaned up values. So x minus 3 squared plus y squared is equal to 4. And I'll use that for both of these. So for this one, I need to let y equal 0. So x minus 3 squared, this is going to be gone, is equal to 4. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. X minus 3 is equal to, well, I want to do that, it's plus or minus. Plus or minus, square root of 4 is 2. So this is x is equal to 3 plus 2, and x is equal to 3 minus 2. So x is equal to 5, and x is equal to 1. Those are our intercepts for our x. Also are called zeros. Remember, x-intercepts are called zeros. Please get that terminology down. All right, y-intercept, let x equal 0 and solve for y. So now my got 0 minus 3 squared plus y squared is equal to 4. Negative 3 squared is 9 plus y squared is equal to 4. Subtracting 9 from both sides, I get y squared is equal to negative 5. Taking the square root of both sides, plus or minus the square root of negative 5. Y equals plus or minus. Square root of negative 1 is I, and then square root of 5. Please place your I to the left of the square root so that you do not get it confused with being underneath the radical. I saw some of you put that to the right of your quiz. I've asked you, please do not do that. It's just not a good practice mathematically. All right, and that is it for that. Now, my turn to do intercept with the x is 4. All right. I already got it wrong. For the circle, x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 15. Find the intercept. So we're going to do the same thing if any of it's graphed. All right. So x-intercept. Leave the x there. X-intercept. We're going to let y equal 0. Solve for x. Right. Space here. So this is x plus 3 squared, the y becomes 0, minus 2 squared is equal to 16. And now we just need to solve for x. So this is x plus 3 squared plus 4 is equal to 16. Subtract 4 from both sides. X plus 3 squared is equal to 12. Take the square root of both sides, plus or minus on the right. X plus 3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 12. This 12 can be broken down into the square root of 4 and the square root of 3. So square root of 4 is 2, and then square root of 3. So I'm just going to rewrite this real quick. 2 square root of 3. Now I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. X is equal to negative 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 3. Those are my x-intercepts, or zeros. And my y-intercept. For the y-intercept, we let x equal 0 and solve for y. All right, so 0 plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 16. This becomes 3 squared, which is 9. Y minus 2 squared is equal to 16, subtracting 9 from both sides. Y minus 2 squared is equal to, let me shut my phone off. Sorry about that, y'all. Go. 16 minus 9, 7? 20/50s, yeah, 7. All right, so take the square root of both sides, plus or minus the square root on the right. Y minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 7. Add 2 to both sides. Y is equal to 2 plus or minus the square root of 7. So there are our two y-intercepts. All right. What we could do is we could actually calculate those on our calculator to find the decimal version and literally draw a circle with this. Because we've got our 2 zeros for our x, and we've got our 2 y-intercepts, and that's going to give us a circle. When its graph is a circle, the equation x squared plus y squared, okay, this is the general form for the equation of a circle. You need to know that this is the format that you need for the general form for the equation of a circle. The other one was the standard form, and that was in the x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared format. This one is the general form, so keep in mind the differences on these so that depending upon what you're asking your homework or on my exam or quiz, that you can answer it properly. All right, if an equation of a circle is in general form, completing the square method can be used to put the equation in standard form so that center and radius can be identified. Okay, so let's do that. So the first thing I want to do, push this up here, is I'm going to give you the steps for this as well. The first thing you want to do is group together and move the consonants. So move the constant, not consonant. Group together. And move the constant. The constant is the one that does not have the variable x with it, which is the 12. So when I say group together, and please put this in your terminology, in your words that you need for yourself, that means x squared plus 4x. I want my x's together. All right. I also want my y's together. So y squared minus 6y. And when I say move the constant, that means move the 12 to the other side of the equal sign, is equal to negative 12. Okay. But when you do that, set yourself up. So I'm going to say set up spaces. So x squared plus 4x plus whatever, plus y squared minus 6y plus whatever is equal to negative 12 plus whatever plus whatever. I know I'm getting into my graph, that stinks. All right, so I've set up my spaces. Now I'm going to complete the square. Complete the square. All right, to complete the square, remember you have to take b divided by 2 and square it. In this case, mine's my 4 divided by 2 and squared. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So I have to add 4 to both sides. Remember, what you do to one side, you have to do the other because of this cute little equal sign. Right? Now let's complete the square for our y's. Negative 6 divided by 2 and squared Negative 65 I choose -3. -3 squared is 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. You're always going to add. You're never going to subtract. All right. The next one is, well, I need to complete the square. So I need to take this portion here and create a square. All right. Plus, I'm going to take this portion here and create a square. And I'm going to go ahead and calculate these real quick. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 minus 12 is 1. Fabulous. That is my r squared. All right. So to do this, you have to take the square root of the first, which is x. The sine of the middle, it's positive. And then the square root of the last. Square root of 4 is 2. Okay. Same thing here. Square root of the first, so y. Sine of the middle, negative. Square root of the last, 3. That is my standard form for my circle. So looking at that, if we think of it as x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, my h here has to be, this is representative of -2. So my h has to be -2. My k, it's already in the negative sign, so it's just 3. My r is the square root of 1, which is 1. All right, I can draw my circle now. -2, 3, up there, and then 1, 1, 1, 1. Oh yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Radius of 1, center at -2, 3. Cool beans. Let me know what questions y'all have. The next one is you're getting to do it. Yep, lock on. The next one, you're going to pause the video. You can do this one yourself. Better to get the practice here while I'm here to support you, sort of. So pause the video and do this one yourself, and then come back and watch how I did it and compare and make sure that you're on the right track. All right, I'm going to reorder these. So putting my x's together, x squared plus 4x. I'm going to go ahead and leave my space. Y squared minus 4y plus space. Moving my 1 over plus space plus space. Sorry. All right, now I'm going to complete the square. So I'm going to take my 4 divided by 2 and square it is 4. I have to add it to both sides. I'm going to take my -4 divided by 2 and square it. -4 divided by 2 is -2. Squared is 4. Add that to both sides. Now I'm going to do the completing. Plus squared is equal to 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. Square root of the first is x. Sine of the middle, square root of the last. Square root of the first, sine of the middle, square root of the last. All right, so my center, HK, is at -2 and 2. And my radius is square root of 9, which is 3. To draw that, I'm going to go -2 and then up 2, place my center, and then a radius of 3. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. It's a little bit tight. There we go. And then 1, 2, 3. That's about right. Okay. There we go. So radius of 3 and center of -2, 2. There's my circle. And there it is in standard form. Find the center, found the center. The radius, found the radius. Graph the circle. Ooh, they want intercepts. Ooh, I need space. So if they want intercepts, we need space. So I'm just going to rewrite. It doesn't matter which one I use. If say you use the original, x squared plus y squared. I don't know what I did before. Yeah, I don't remember. X squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 4y minus 1 equals 0. I'm just going to use the original format and find my intercepts. To find my x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0 and solve for x. So gone and gone. X squared plus 4x minus 1 equals 0. That's what's left. I can't do this by breaking it into two parentheses because one's only going to be 1 and 1, and I can't get to 4 with that. So I've got to use the quadratic. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. All of that's over 2a. In this case, our a is 1, our b is 4, and our c is negative 1. So x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times a times c, and all of that's over 2 times a. So x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root. 16 plus 4 is 20. All that's over 2. This is 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4, and that's where I got the 20. This, the 20, can give us the square root of 4 and the square root of 5. And this is 2. So I've got negative 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 5 over 2. There we go. And I see that I can reduce these both by 2. So x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 5. Those are my two answers for my zeros or my x-intercepts. I'm just going to come down here and do my y's. So that is going to be taking the x squares are going to be gone now. And I've got y squared plus minus 4y minus 1 is equal to 0, because now my x's are going to be gone. I'm going to have this, this, and this. I can't do this one either. So how am I going to do that one? Same way. So y equals, I need to know my a is 1, my b is negative 4, and my c is negative 1. So negative b, which is 4, plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times a times c. All of that's over 2 times a. Y is 4 plus or minus. Negative 4 squared is 16. Negative and negative is positive 4, so another 20 over 2. All right. Again, I'm going to have square root of 4, square root of 5. So that's 2 square root of 5. Y equals 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 5 over 2. Reduces by 2. 2 plus or minus the square root of 5 is my y-intercepts. Notice this is negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 5. This one's 2 plus or minus the square root of 5. Those are my zeros and my y-intercepts. Any questions you have on that, please make sure we talk about this before the exam. Find the general equation of a circle whose center is 1, negative 2, and whose graph contains the point 4, negative 2. So to find the general form, I need to first put it in standard form, and then I'm going to expand it. Standard form is just the x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Remember, your center is hk. In our case, it is 4, negative 2. So h is 4. Y is negative 2. And our radius is what? Oh, no, that's not our center. Our center is up here. Sorry, y'all. 1, negative 2. I didn't realize they gave it. This is the one with 2 points. So how do we know the radius? First of all, let me rewrite this, make it clean. X minus 1 squared plus y minus negative 2 squared is equal to, now the r squared. For me to know what my radius is, I would just graph these to know what they look like. So 1, negative 2 is the center, and then a point on the circle is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2. So the distance from here to here is my radius, because remember, this is my circles going around the radius, I mean the center. So that's 1, 2, that's a radius of 3. 3 squared. All right, I'm going to clean this up. X minus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared is equal to 9. All right, now let's just expand it. X minus 1 times x minus 1, y plus 2 times y plus 2 is equal to 9. FOIL it, box it, whatever you got to do to multiply these two binomials. X squared minus 2x plus 1, y squared plus 4x plus 4 is 9. Okay. And then we're going to have to put it in the general form for the circle, which is it's x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. That's the format we want to have it in. So I need this is a y. X squared, that's gone. Y squared, gone. Minus 2x, gone. Plus 4y, gone. Constants. 1 plus 4 is 5. But we've got our 9 over here. So we need to subtract 9 from both sides. And that gives us -4 equals 0. There is my general form for general equation of a circle. Okay. Do not leave it in the other format to where the 2x is next to the x squared and the 4y is next to the y squared. That's not the general form. The general form has to be in this format. All right, so pause the video and do this next one yourself and then come back to check to see how you did. Please pause your video now. Okay, so write the standard form for equation and the general form of the equation of each circle, radius r, center hk. So our center, I'm going to go with x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. That's x minus 0 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 2 squared. X squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 4. There is my standard form of the equation of a circle. I'm done with that. All right, and then my general, I'm going to take my standard and expand it. Square, so we have to do 2 times. Box methods, FOIL, distribute, whatever you got to do to multiply these out. So y squared minus 4x, nope, y, habit of that, plus 4 is equal to 4. All right, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I get x squared plus y squared minus 4y. And that's it, is equal to 0. So there is my general form. And this is my standard form. The last piece of this, they want us to draw it. Right, the standard form. Circle. Oh, let's just draw it. The center is at 0, 2, so right there, and radius of 2. So here, 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 and here. Radius of 2, and it's at 0, 2. That's it. And that's the lecture for circles. Let me know what questions y'all have. I'm happy to help.